Servus Männer, it's Black Pill Germany again. I know that a lot of people have been following on a daily basis almost, or quite literally in many cases I think, what has happened in the court trial between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. It was a defamation case where Johnny Depp was suing because he felt mischaracterized and besmirched by what Amber Heard had written in a Washington Post article where she didn't name him, I think, but it was pretty clear that she styled herself as some victim of violence, and he adamantly claimed that he did no such thing while they were married or otherwise. And then she countersued. I think he sued for 50 million and she countersued for 100 million because of something that Depps' lawyer had said that was kind of a trick or something like that. So as far as I understood it, the question was, did he really mistreat her or did she lie? And that was the core of the issue. So of course her statements were her statements alone and there was zero evidence, and on the other hand there was some evidence, and I think she even admitted that she had struck him. But of course that's not important, right? Because she's this tiny woman and he is this big strong man, right? Anyway, so I'm not going through all the details and it doesn't matter, and I also am the worst person to tell you all these details because I didn't follow this trial whatsoever. Just I read now up on the basics a little bit. What I have noticed, however, is how the media and how a lot of online commenters and also, well, people in comment section and people generally are talking about this. And especially in my little corner of the internet, a lot of people are celebrating this verdict now and, oh, this is a huge win for men and this is the end of Me Too and this is a huge win. Well, I hate to be that guy, but in this particular case, I think nothing has changed for ordinary men. This has nothing to do with us, and this won't change the general practice of how these cases are handled at the courts whatsoever. Just look what it took to have this tiny win for this one man. It took a case where the man is very popular and a lot of people love him. He had a lot of support. There were people waiting in front of the courthouse every day cheering for him, and the woman, well, let's say that she is not liked by the general public as much as he is, and also he's a very rich man. He could of course afford the best lawyers, and well, she had zero evidence and he had some evidence that she in fact was the one who misbehaved or mistreated him during the marriage. So if you take all these factors together, that is a pretty clear case, and it would have been a monumental black pill had he lost the case. But I'm saying that the fact that it took such a clear-cut case where all the other factors, like how people are liked by the public, remember this was a jury trial, so public opinion, because the jury members are of course individuals, but they are members of the public and they are not immune to this, of course. This is actually something that the feminist side criticized heavily, but well, how is it in other trials that we have seen in the US in recent years, huh? What about the jury there? Were they kind of shielded from threats or from these kind of things? No, of course not. So yeah, either you apply the standard across the board or you shut up, is my opinion at least. So anyway, of course, it is good for Mr. Depp. He didn't get the 50 million he sued for. He just got 10 and or round about 10. First they said 15 and then they said 10.3 or something like that. I don't care. Well, it was much less than what he sued for, but I don't think the money is that important in this case. What is important is that he won the case, and I think by what I have read is that there will be of course another trial. There might be a second round, an appeal or something like that. So maybe this case is in that sense not even over. But for the time being, of course, I understand that Mr. Depp is celebrating and his fans also like that result. Well, I also like it. I think with zero evidence, no man should be sentenced or punished for a crime that he, well, at least according to what we can know for sure, didn't commit. So all I'm saying is these kinds of crimes and allegations should be treated like all the other ones too, like murder or theft or these things. There is no reason to treat this any differently, but this is a very, very old talking point, and it sounds kind of weird to say that in 2022, but what I'm saying in particular now, so don't get me wrong here, of course I think it's a good thing. I don't think the verdict should have been the other way around, just to teach men that it's still this way in society. No, of course it's a good thing. However, I want to remind all of you that if you don't have the best lawyers and a lot of positive media coverage and an army of supporters and also some counter evidence with zero evidence against you, if you don't have that, well, then there is no reason or not a lot of reason to be hopeful that if you ever found yourself in a situation like that the courts would now somehow decide in your favor or that something has fundamentally changed. I don't think anything has changed. I think the average Joe who goes through a divorce will still be treated the same way in, well, the usual suspect nations. I mean, the Anglo countries and many countries in Europe. Not all countries are the same here, but Anglo countries and Western Europe is pretty bad. Also Latin countries, of course, I should include here. I think Spain, probably one of the worst places, or Italy. And I can just imagine one of these poor people standing in front of a judge and saying, well, but Your Honor, I mean, Johnny Depp, I mean, doesn't that mean that, you need kind of evidence? No, it doesn't work like that. Of course, most judges around the world will still believe the woman, and the Duluth model is still very much well and alive, and nothing will change here. And if you want to get married and have kids, well, then you must know exactly what you're getting into. That is just the reality of things. And once again, because it is such a huge risk and you can never know another person completely, and no married man, no father, no husband can with 100% certainty say, I am completely safe from that, I trust my wife, nothing will happen to me. That is wishful thinking and unrealistic. The danger is, of course, always there. And that is why Western civilization is in such a sad state, where people now feel the need to promote marriage and tell young men to get married. But is that really good advice? Of course, it is good for Western society. Of course, we need stable families. But how can anybody give that advice to strangers about such a very personal decision? Absolutely crazy. But it is very popular to blame this problem of our Western societies on young men who are more on the cautionary side, or on older men who, after, well, being put through this ordeal once, are shamed now for not jumping into the ring a second time. But shouldn't we rather blame the leaders and politicians, or the so-called leaders, that changed society, changed the laws, and turned it into a system in which men's lives are systematically destroyed by a legal system and, by a culture in which the verdict is already complete before the evidence has been presented. Anyway, I just wanted to add that Johnny Depp did win, but he also paid a high price. I don't know if he cares about things like that as a celebrity who is in the public spotlight as it is, but there are quite some gruesome and embarrassing details that came out in this trial, and everybody saw these video clips and heard these audio files. Of course, I didn't listen through all that. I just know that a lot of these details came to light, and that is also pretty bad. I think this goes beyond the revelations that celebrities have to suffer about their private lives through paparazzis and these photographers and these yellow press journalists who want to dig up saucy stories about them. I think this goes much deeper than any of these pseudo journalists could ever have brought to light. And another thing I want to add is that Depp, and spelled exactly that way, in German means idiot. A Depp, a Depp, a Depp, a Depp. Take care. Servus, Kameraden.